Hey guys, so for today's video I was contemplating making a very late review of the Batman that came out this year, or making a competitive comparison of sorts between the new Batman and The Dark Knight. The latter option seemed much more interesting, so I went with that. Like many of my opinions, this one is a bit spicy, so stay with me please, and let's get into it. So Batman 2022 was confirmed in late 2020, so we had a while to wait for this film. I was nervous it was going to be a slap in the face to what came before, given that Robert Pattinson seemed like a very odd choice for the Batman. Matt Reeves I had faith in, however. He directed the two latest Planet of the Apes movies, and those were some of the best action films I've ever seen, so if this was another action film for him, I was excited. He does a good job of balancing fun action with heady dialogue. It was also said that the new Batman movie would focus on Detective Batman, which is what I have always wanted out of Batman media. Then the trailers came out and it looked just a little dumb, but I guess you can't judge a book by its cover, especially with a teaser trailer. Then the critics released their reviews, and overall it seemed like this movie was going to be pretty average for a superhero film. But I went in with an open mind, and good God was this movie absolutely amazing. The cinematography, score, and sets all gave the same dark tone that some of my favorite Batman comics had. Robert Pattinson is my new favorite Batman interpretation. He gave the role more character than someone like Christian Bale. This was one of the first times we got a full-on angry Batman. The Batman in this movie is still a good guy, but he has some questionable morals that he needs to confront in the film. The plot does work as a detective story and is extremely satisfying, even if the ending is a bit bloated. The violence was never gratuitous, but it wasn't as bland as the other Batman films. The direction was amazing, no surprises there. This film also had some very nice pacing. For the amount of red herrings that might have occurred in this film, it really didn't waste its time with any plot points in particular, and every scene felt like it flowed the same as the last scene. It also did have that signature Matt Reeves style. It had so much fun action that you were always entertained, but it also had some very in-depth conversations that you wouldn't expect out of a average comic book movie. Gotham is also greatly improved in this movie. It feels like another world, whereas in something like, The Dark Knight or Batman Begins, it feels like just some normal city. Here, it really feels like a hellish nightmare. I also think the Catwoman is pretty well done in this movie. Not only is Zoe Kravitz giving us a great performance, but I also don't think the Catwoman is as unnecessary in this movie as she tends to be in most Batman media. In this movie, she really feels like an addition to the team and like she's helping the plot forward instead of dragging it down and making it another loose end for Batman to tie up. Matt Reeves really knew what he wanted to do with a story like this, and he blew me away. The use of Something in the Way was greatly appreciated. Not only did it fit the emo, edgy tone of the film, but it also is an underrated Nirvana song, and I'm glad to see it utilized. Like I said, the ending is a bit too much. A big part of this film's climax is the Riddler creating a citywide flood, and even though this is implied it took a long time to fix, the film shows us nothing of sorts, and then the city is just fine. They definitely should have expanded on that, or just cut the whole scene out. Other than that, though, this is everything I could have asked for in a Batman movie. It is almost perfect in every single way. If the ending was maybe a bit tighter, or I guess a bit longer, or if they left us on a cliffhanger, this would have been a 10 out of 10 movie. But a 9 out of 10 is nothing to laugh at. This is one of the best comic book movies I have ever seen. My biggest wish is that they don't screw up the sequel, because it seems very possible right now. Now, on to the next part of the video, I guess. This is not going to be fun. Now, The Dark Knight is a great movie, and I'm not denying that. What I am saying is that it's not as good as the new Batman. I'm going to talk about this movie in a way that would seem like I hate it, but I don't, okay? I just want you to change your mind a little, or for you to at least consider my opinion as valid for a tiny bit would be nice. For starters, I mentioned this briefly in the last segment, but I don't like Christian Bale as Batman. I always hated that stupid raspy voice he did for it. It was extremely cringy, but above all else, I don't think he knows how to be a simple action superhero. He's so used to doing these multi-layered, complex outsider characters that for him to just return to this super simplistic form is just a bit strange for Bale. I don't think he's a bad actor, but he just doesn't know how to be a superhero. It is also very noticeable when people aren't giving their absolute A-game around Heath Ledger's Joker performance. I know we all know this, but Ledger really did give us one of the greatest villain performances of all time in this film. The shots are a little hit or miss, especially for Christopher Nolan, which can make this film a little boring at times, whereas the shots in the new Batman film never had me bored and were always unique. Apart from the editing, the technical aspects of this film are pretty average. The cinematography is a bit too dark in the nighttime scenes, like Batman Begins, but to a lesser degree. The score is also pretty unnoticeable and once again very average. The editing, however, is great. You don't get scene whiplash like in certain Marvel and DC films, but you also never stay with a scene for too long, and every side plot and smaller detail is very entertaining. But that's the thing about this movie. It has great performances, a fantastic plot and screenplay, smooth editing, and some really great acting from Heath Ledger, Maggie Gyllenhaal, and Gary Oldman. But other than that, this movie isn't too special. Once again, not throwing shade on The Dark Knight, it's a very solid 8 out of 10 movie, but a few great aspects doesn't make a film perfect. And I'm definitely gonna have to give the win to the Batman 2022. That's about it. I hope some of you reconsider your thoughts on these two films, and if you agree with me, you are lying. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.